Welcome to the AFC East Shakedown on the Mafia Sports Report channel. And joining me as week to week we do this is Anthony from the Jets Life podcast. Below me is Zach from Pats Today, representing the New England Patriots. And we are missing two people today. We are missing Curtis from Ace Per Head and Captain D, who represents the Dolphins. Unfortunately, Curtis, where he lives, they had a bad fire and power lines went down in his area. So I wish him the best, and hopefully he get his power restored soon, because that sucks, losing power. And Captain D, man, salute to you, man. Hope you have a good weekend, brother. All right, so let's get to this, man. This probably won't be a long show, guys, since we're missing two of the regulars. So, but it'll still be a fun podcast. Let's get to the chat real quick. What up, Beth? Beth in the building, man. Beth has been a long time supporter of this channel and this podcast, so appreciate you're here. All right, let's get to it, guys. So week 4 was a disaster for the AFC East, and Zach really he jinxed us. He put the hex on us, and we have a group chat on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and Zach was like, I hope all you guys lose. That's all I want. And it happened.
Playing the Niners, we had no hope. So I needed something to root for. Like,
your wish came true. All right, it was a terrible week, and of course I had a
great week.
Yeah, great week. Yes. But it was actually not terrible for us, because every team lost and we still stayed up on the division. If the Jets would have won, obviously that would have sucked for us too, because we would have been tied for that division lead. So, but let's get to it. Let's dial right up to it. Let's start with, why not? Let's start with you, Anthony, and your team putting up 9 points, losing to the Denver Broncos at home. Embarrassing, 10-9. What happened?
What happened is, it's been a concern for me going into the season, and it's kind of reared its ugly head last week for the first time. And I would say it's kind of poked its head up a little bit in the first couple of games. But this coaching staff has historically shown that they go in some of these big time games and even some of these smaller time games just looking unprepared. And that's 100% the issue here. There was no adjustments made on offense. Some situational football, like type of things, it's like they had their heads just underwater, did not understand what to do. They had 1st and goal at the 1 yard line, and they have a 240-pound running back who you would think would be the guy to give the ball to in those types of situations. And they just completely, disagree with that, end up losing yards in that sequence and have to settle for a field goal. We're in a league, the NFL, where to win games, you gotta score touchdowns. That's just the way it is. You can't settle for field goals all the time. That's where you allow teams like Denver, who you are heavily favored against, you give them a little hope that we're still in it, and eventually, they're going to make some plays too. And they made a few more plays than we did. A late miss of a field goal, obviously, if he makes that field goal, we're probably having a different conversation. But the overall concern of just 15 penalties in this game, 13 accepted. You just can't have that if you're a team that has aspirations to make the playoffs and hopefully make a deep run. This coaching staff is just a big, big red flag, and that red flag will only grow bigger and bigger if the season kind of progresses in the same way it did last week. They have a tough slate of games coming up here, all games that they'll probably be underdogs in each of those games. You got, obviously, this week, Minnesota. They are an underdog. You have Buffalo coming up the week after. And then after that's Pittsburgh, who is 3-1. All teams that, Minnesota's defense is a little downgrade compared to the others. But Buffalo has a pretty good defense, although didn't show it last week. Steelers come in with a strong defense. At some point in time, Nate Hackett's going to have to figure out a way to out-scheme another defensive coordinator. And historically, he just hasn't shown he has that ability. So that's my biggest concern. And I think the reason that we got the result we did in this last game.
Looking at the stats, man. So here's the deal. Wasn't it raining there? Kind of bad weather game, right? In New York that day. So having Rodgers throw for 42 times in a bad weather game. One, I don't, man, it bothers me because we have coordinators that done that in the past. Joe Brady so far has not done that, where you're going into a game where you understand the weather conditions, you know what you got to do, especially for you guys. Like, you guys have the running backs to move the ball. You have a two-headed monster there in Allen and Hall, and you rush 8 times Allen, 10 times for Hall, who had 4 yards, 34 for Allen. I mean, Aaron Rodgers had more yards than Brees Hall. I don't 26 yards. I mean, compared to 4, I don't get it. That right there is a problem. Like, whoever was calling the offense there, because if you look at the flip side for Denver, they did it right, in my opinion. Bo Nix, not the greatest game, but he threw 25 times, 60 yards, and not ugly, but it's understandable. He's a rookie. It's a bad weather game. But look, 16 carries for 16 carries, 77 yards for Williams. McLaughlin got 9 carries, 46. So they at least were going by how the game was, the conditions. And then the 1 touchdown killed you. Like, that was it. Their defense, I got to give them credit. Denver's defense has been okay this year so far, pretty good actually. So they did their part. And your defense, I thought, did their part too, but it seemed like it was going to be the 1 touchdown. 1 touchdown was going to win the game. And I had a weird feeling at the end here, because the announcer was like, "This, your kicker, oh, he's perfect on the day." I'm like, they're jinxing him.
Oh yeah,
they're jinxing this guy.
He was perfect, but if you look at his kicks, like I think one of them was straight down the middle. The other 2 really kind of creeped into the goalpost, where looking at it, I was like, did that go in? Did that go in? Like that was 2 of his field goals. So he was definitely missing the mark a little bit.
I only caught the tail end of it.
Yeah.
I didn't see the field goals, but either way, a makeable field goal. I know it was a little long, but definitely makeable. And he missed it. So it is what it is. What do you think, Zach, about that game?
Yeah, I mean, I like the outcome. When
Of course you did.
Sorry. Anyways, I'll get to the actual football part. Holding the Broncos offense to 10 points, that's good. Holding any team to 10 points is obviously good. Holding Bo Nix to a 50% completion percentage for negative 10 yards at halftime, or whatever that hilariously awful stat line was, is impressive stuff from that Jets defense, even if it wasn't against the highest competition with that Broncos offense. But you got to be able to just make those adjustments and see what's working, see what's not. I don't see how a team with that much offensive star power that the Jets have, with Aaron Rodgers, even if it's not prime Aaron Rodgers, he's still a very good quarterback. Brees Hall, Braylon Allen, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, and whoever else. I know there's plenty of great players, and going up against the Broncos, you need to be able to put points on the board. That you need to get the ball in the end zone. I know I'm kind of mirroring what you guys said, but it is in a way just wild to me that you're going up against a team of that lower status. The Jets are seen as a playoff contender, definitely potential Super Bowl contender. I don't know so much anymore if they're in that kind of upper echelon, but still they were there going into the season. And now you're dropping a game to the Denver Broncos led by Bo Nix. You can't really have that happening. So it's just a bit wild to me that they're not able to put those points up on the board with that star power against a below average team, I would say. And that's just the coaching. You need to get that fixed if you're
Roy, Zach, Anthony. Roy's coming in with a question, and probably more for you. So, do the problems lie only with Saleh, or does Douglas have some blame?
I mean, obviously, Douglas doesn't coach his team. He's the general manager, so he assembled this team. And let's be real. I mean, the roster is very talented, but since Douglas has been here as a GM, his record is below 500. He completely failed picking Zach Wilson number 2 overall in that draft. But the talent on this roster, it's a winning roster. Like, when you look at it from on paper, it's a team that should be 3-1 right now. I was talking with my brother on my other stream I normally run on midweek. And, when I talked to him after the 49ers game, I said, listen, they came out flat that game. A good coach gets his team to 4-1 after 5 games. Saleh probably gets us to 3-2 if we're lucky. And that's exactly what we're looking at right in the face. And, based on Minnesota, it's definitely possible we could be 2-3. And that's a major, major red flag. But as far as Joe Douglas, like I said, this roster should be winning more games than they are. But if the season falls down, everyone's going out. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think if Saleh can't get the job done, at least get you in a playoff, like a playoff run. You know what I mean?
That's the minimum.
Because Zach said it, man. You guys have talent. What do you like? There's no excuse for that. You have a Hall of Fame quarterback who's still playing at a pretty high level. I mean, he's not what he once was, but good enough to lead that team. You have an outstanding receiver. You have 2 really good running backs, and you have a hell of a defense. There's really no excuse to be not making the playoffs.
None at all.
So if it happens again, then yeah, man, I think I don't know if you blow the team up, but you definitely need to probably change your GM and your head coach and figure it out. But hey, man, that we'll see what happens. It's still early in the season.
Yeah,
I want to hit the panic button just yet. So let's move on to the next game. In a game where I really thought the Dolphins were going to win this low scoring, but they did not. They lost 31-12 in Miami. We'll start with Anthony. Anthony, what happened to the Dolphins again?
I mean, I kind of went out on a limb a little bit here with the Dolphins. I know we were all kind of predicting close games, but I did, I just don't have faith in this team right now. It just really seems like there's a major drop off whenever Tua is not playing, and rightfully so. A team loses their starting quarterback. That's the expectation. But under Mike McDaniel, since he's been there, I mean, they've had Skylar Thompson start. They've had Tyler Huntley now start. They've just shown that, they really just cannot put points on the board when Tua is not at quarterback. And that was my concern going into this game. Tennessee has a pretty decent defense. They're not top notch, but they've shown they can play some good defense against some pretty good teams here. And I mean, Will Levis, like, as long as he can control the idiotic mistakes, I think probably the best thing that happened to Tennessee was him going down for a little bit, because at least Mason Rudolph came in and he at least didn't make the dumb mistake that Will Levis has made basically every single week this season. And that was really the difference. Tennessee's running game got it going. Pollard had a few big runs in this game, scored a couple of touchdowns, I believe. I mean, everything started falling apart for the Dolphins. And I think it even found its way to the sideline. You saw Tyreek Hill kind of blowing up. I don't know if he was blowing up at Mike McDaniels, but he was blowing up around Mike McDaniels. So, I think you're finding a situation here where the Dolphins have been so successful for the past couple of years, and now that the success is not kind of following its way into the regular season, they're kind of going back into that losing trend. I just don't know if guys like Tyreek, who have shown, at times to run a short fuse, if that's all going to hold together for this team down the stretch. I think it's just, like I said, until this team shows me otherwise, it just doesn't seem like they can score points without Tua at quarterback.
Yeah, I don't even know if they've been really successful. They play better. They haven't won a playoff game, right? Like they're still, in search of that playoff.
By their standards,
by their standard,
regular season success.
Right. Yeah, it's been. But they still have melted down too under their head coach towards the tail end. Like last year was a prime example of a meltdown. They barely squeaked in the playoffs when they had a nice size lead in the AFC East. And they just blew it away. And that really was the Titans game. If you think about it, go back in time, they blew that game in Miami, which all they had to do was win that game. They won the AFC East at that time. So they totally blew that game. But this game, looking at the stats, Tyler Huntley, the quarterback they just picked up a few weeks back, got his first start, 14-22, 96 yards, which honestly, I kind of expected those numbers, playbook, right? Like he's new to the team, still trying to get his feet wet with the playbook. I get that. But here's the problem, right? Rushing. Huntley, once again, how is he your leading rusher? 40 yards. You got Achane, who got 15. Jalen Wright, 32. Tyreek Hill, At least they tried something with him. 3 for 19, still not good enough. Receiving, again, Waddle, 36 yards. Tyreek Hill, who's the number one player voted by his peers, 23 yards. I mean, receiving, it's terrible. It's unacceptable. A-Chain, 14. Like, why aren't you? So, like, my point is, like, why isn't McDaniel scheming up things for his star players? Other, listen, you have a quarterback issue right now. You have a new quarterback just brung in. Make it more simple for him. Run more bubble screens. Run more jet sweeps. Get your playmakers involved. You have all that speed with Hill and A-Chain and Waddle. Why aren't you getting those guys more involved and helping this offense out a little bit? I'm not saying like it'll make this huge difference, but it probably will get you a win against the Titans. Like, why aren't you running Wildcat with Hill and A-Chain? Like, just do different things other than what you've been doing with Tua, your playbook with Tua, because it's not going to work with these guys. It's not going to work with Skyler. It's not going to work with whoever you bring in. That playbook was designed for Tua. Get rid of the ball quick. He's an accurate thrower. Say what you want about Tua, but when Tua's healthy, he's a good quarterback. And they built that offense strictly for Tua and that speed of the offense. Right now, Skyler can't do what Tua does, and neither will Huntley. So you got to dummy that playbook down a little bit and get your playmakers involved, man. You have talent. So I don't get how he's so confused on what to do when he is a good offensive coordinator. I don't get why now all of a sudden he's just totally lost when it comes to what to do without Tua. And it just seems like he's like, that dude is like, he looks like he's drinking like the moment he gets in the stadium and the moment he leaves the stadium. Like he don't look right. Look at him on the sideline. He looks depressed. He looks just like his job's on the line. And
he doesn't look like Miami Vice at the moment.
Yeah, he doesn't. And I'll be honest with you, his job may be on the line as well. You talk about Saleh.
I think so, but
go to McDaniel. Greer, his job's on the line too. I mean, there's already talk about Hill being traded. I mean, those rumors are floating around. Never good when you just paid the guy, right? You just literally paid the guy.
I don't know how much dead cap would be on that,
bro. And then I have no idea. And then, of course,
they probably backloaded a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of dead cap if that's really.
And then you got Tua decision to make at the end of the year. Do you cut him, eat some of that money? Like, if they're going to blow it up for me, you just blow it up. You just do what you got to do and go get yourself a quarterback. Eat the money, whatever money you're going to have to eat with the Tua contract. It's same with Hill. If somebody's willing to take him on, which I'm sure somebody will take Hill's contract on. But that might happen. I would definitely be on the lookout for that. Greer might be fired. It's just not. I think right now, I got to also say too, sometimes when you go with speed only, all these finesse smaller players, injuries happen. And it's kind of it's happening. You see A-Chain injured a lot. It's just the way it is, man. And Hill is a little banged up. And I don't know. Waddle's been banged up. So I just think, man, they're in a world of trouble. And I really thought they were going to win this game by at least 3 points, and they just got
smoked.
They got work. Zach, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it feels like whenever, and this isn't, something that I have proof of, just kind of, I feel like whenever Tua is the Dolphins quarterback, Mike McDaniel is praised as, this guy's one of the most creative offensive play callers. The way he's able to scheme up everything, blah, 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 blah. Like his pre-snap motions and this and that. And once Tua's out of there, it's like all of that just goes away. And it's crazy to see because, again, Tua is a good quarterback, but he's not this, huge playmaking, difference maker. He's a good quarterback, but not that improvising, whatever. So just the difference between Tua at quarterback and anybody else at quarterback, where it's, a year ago, the Dolphins were dropping 70 points in a game, quite literally. And now they have pretty much the same offense, maybe a better one, and they're putting up 10 because Tua is not a QB. So just seeing the differences there is insane. And I know we talked about it a little bit before the show, but I just want to bring it back up.
Yeah, go ahead.
it's crazy to me that the Dolphins didn't look at their roster, didn't see Tua, and say, we really need one of these like extra top tier backups, like a Joe Flacco, who we saw last year can go in pretty much no matter what, and we've even seen it this year a little bit. And he can be an actual QB. He can be a guy who will sit on the bench, and if you need him, if Tua gets hit, if Tua gets another concussion, which he did, he can win. Joe Flacco can come in and win you some games. Dolphins didn't do it. They ended up going with who, I already forget what's their normal backup's name. Not Huntley, the guy they had ahead of Huntley.
Boyle?
Got hurt.
Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, Skylar Thompson. They go with Skylar Thompson. Whoop-de-doo. All right, you have Skylar Thompson at QB, who's also not going to win you any games, and then he gets hurt. Not that would be expected, like that. I can't blame them for that, but he gets hurt, and now you're on to a QB that you signed to the practice squad last week, or signed off of a practice squad last week. So it's just not being prepared for when things are going south, which everyone knew eventually they probably would, because Tua has this history of concussions, and he has this history where, again, one hit and he is potentially out for his career, and they just don't plan for it. I don't think they're gonna blow things up. I know you guys had talked about that. Tommy, you had mentioned it. I don't think they're gonna blow things up because they, in my mind, believe that they really do have a team that can win. But it's all about Tua, and if Tua is not back, which I would guess that he will be, but if he's not, they're completely screwed for at least the time being. And if he's back, then they can make a playoff push potentially, but that is potentially out of the picture this year.
I almost think they do. And the reason why I say is because, one, I don't think their owner was ever sold on Tua. Right when they brought him in, he was wanting Brady. That's why they got in trouble.
Yeah,
for
he did want Brady.
You know what I mean?
But who wouldn't?
No, I get it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm with you, but he was also, come on. Like, he was trying to pull an older Brady over a young guy, over a young Tua you just drafted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's already trying to push him out the door in a way. Kind of a slap in the face for your guy. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. That's one.
I think that's true at first, but now they've built around him and they've seen what he's been able to do, and they've seen the differences. That's
where I'm going though. So yeah, so I here's the deal. Here's how I see it. And I could be wrong. I totally could be wrong. Yeah. And you're right. I feel like once that whole situation with the Brady thing and all that got handled or whatever, he went out and got McDaniel. McDaniel said from the get, right? I'm going to build this team around Tua. I trust Tua. Yep. Tua's member. Like, he was all like, Tua's the guy.
Tua's our
like,
guy.
He was amped. Like, we're going to make this offense a Tua offense, and you're going to see this team excel. We went out and they got Hill. Remember, they did a lot. Now, this is on Greer too, right? Greer's building this team. Then you go and pay Tua big time money. Now, I said from the fucking beginning, before his contract was up, if I'm a GM, I am super concerned about his health. Not really so much his play. I think when healthy, he's a good quarterback. He's not great. He's definitely top 10. You can't argue the numbers last year. No. When he's clicking, he's on. But that's the problem. So I think they saw last year, oh, dude, look at Tua. He didn't get concussion. You know what? Yeah, let's go ahead and let's give him the contract extension, because I think they were hesitant from the year before of when that deal was coming up, right? But he was healthy. So they said, you know what? All right, let's pay the guy. I was still nervous. I said, man, the guy almost retired 2 years back. Next big hit, he could be right back on that whole thinking, oh, man, like, oh, dude, I don't know. That's one. Two, they didn't get a backup quarterback. They didn't want to pay because they felt like, oh, he's back. He's going to be fine. Like, now we know he's not going to not get hit. He's going to release the ball. Like, bro, this is the NFL. It's going to happen. He's going to get hit late one day or just a sliding or whatever. It's football.
Or run headfirst into
a player. Yeah, so I don't think they truly expected that to happen. I don't know why. Fucking Tua. He's had him his whole career. And then they didn't have a backup in place, like you said. And it's a mistake. It was a big mistake, and now they're learning from that mistake. But either way, you built this team with all the speed, all these playmakers. Defense, look, they got Phillips is out now for the season. Like all these players you pay in, giving extensions. Instead of keeping Wilkinson, you let them walk. Like, and you pay other players. You pay Jalen Ramsey, who's an aging corner, instead of bringing back. Like I'm telling you, their GM's made a ton of mistakes, and I don't know if the owner's going to continue to allow all this to happen, because now the owners are probably going to have to eat money at some point, right? Right, and the team at the same time isn't going to make the playoffs. More than likely, not going to make the playoffs. So I don't know. I'm leaning more towards their owner is going to have to make that decision, and remember, I'm going to throw a name out there. Bill Belichick's still out there. Bill Belichick's still out there, and he is you don't think their owner would love to have him? Of course he would. And if I'm going to have to guess, if they're firing their GM, and Bill Belichick likes to do that role, that might be a landing spot where the Ross, I think that's the owner's name, would give him the keys to the Miami Dolphins. Not only that, he would have fans right back going, "Oh, we got it. We got Bill fucking Belichick." So, like, I'm telling you, I could definitely see that happening. I'm just throwing that out there. I could be wrong. He could keep McDaniel Greer, but I think fans would buy more into them being fired and bringing in a guy like Bill Belichick, who's a proven winner, Super Bowl, one of the best head coaches, if not the best of all time.
Yeah.
You pay him what he wants. You let him have the keys and see what happens.
The thing about that, and I don't think you're completely far off. I think Ross will be all over the idea of having Belichick there. But would Belichick be into going to a team like that looks like a team that could potentially be blowing things up?
I think so. I think he would
maybe.
Over because it that has a strong defense, that has a pretty solid offense. Say we want about that.
Build it.
If
he could build it his way, though, Anthony.
And if the Dolphins are blowing things up, that's because the Dolphins don't have to blow things up. They can continue with Belichick and Tua and Hill and Waddle, and Belichick's only going to coach for 2 years at most.
Is that time to
at that 3 years
to really get the Dolphins from this finesse kind of slow progressing team?
Well, remember the Dolphins in the past.
I think it is. I really think it is.
They did that in the past. If you remember, they hired the former Giants coach. What was his name? Bill Parcells, who only came in for the whole deal with him was a 2-year. He was only supposed to be, and that's what he did. Come in for 2 years, kind of tweak the team up, and then a new coach came, and he was on the roster, or he was still in management for another year. Like I could see that happening too with, like Zach said, maybe a 2-year, he comes in for 2-3 years and then goes more towards the GM side of things, or stays for, and then hires a coach.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. But I'm just throwing that out there. I totally could be wrong. Like, these are obviously just us spitting. Things out there.
I would not. I gotcha. I mean, Belichick is going, or should, I guess, have an offer from a team this year, whether it be, or next year, whatever. I'm in next year's mindset because this year's gone for us already. Belichick should have an offer, whether it be the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Dolphins, the Jets, maybe. Whatever team.
The Jets. He hates the Jets. I'll give you that one. I guess.
Fair. But then he gets to play. He gets to play Kraft twice a year, and he gets to beat him with Aaron Rodgers.
That is true. Stays in the East. Yeah,
exactly. He likes Rodgers. So, but I think so. Who knows? But I would be very interested to see if Belichick does go back to coaching, because he wants that record. He wants to beat that win record, but I think he's going to have a great time in media. Like, I would, in a way, be pretty surprised if he goes back to coaching, because he has so many media things already lined up this year. He seems like he's kind of already made that transition. Like, hey, I'm on Instagram now. It's me, Bill Belichick. I used to go in press conferences and call it Insta face and Snap Twitter or whatever. And now I got one. Like,
right.
I think he is prepared to just make that like media push and become more of a personality than be head coach Bill Belichick. But when that phone rings, because it will, can he hang up on that? I don't know.
Right,
With
the
win record potentially.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's like
the money won't hurt.
What is it? Like the Green Goblin mask, like calling out to him. So I don't know. Like, I think he's gonna love media, and it'll be. This is all speculation. Like, I'm not Bill Belichick. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not. His best friend calling him on the phone, like, "Hey, Bill, how's your underdog fantasy gig going?" But I would be, in a way, kind of surprised if he steps away from media, because I think he is going to have a ball with that.
Yeah, I can see that too. I mean, but like I said, man, I also think there's that flip side, like you said, that when the phone calls happen, because it won't just be the Dolphins, it'll be like the Giants if they get rid of Dable and Shane, their GM. Like, trust me, and I can also see that happening with the Giants, like a team like the Giants, where they would give him full control. I know somebody in the chat said earlier, "Oh, but he want full control." I think they would give it to him. I do. I think especially the Dolphins. The Dolphins would definitely give him full control, because Ross doesn't listen. I think Ross at this point would be kind of desperate if he went ahead and got rid of Greer and McDaniel, and I think he would be like all for it. I really do. And if that's what Bill Belichick wanted, if like that was a stipulation, like if Bill Belichick was like, "Bro, the only way I'm going to do it is if you give me full control," I highly doubt Ross would be like, "No, we can't do that." Like, I just don't see that happening. You know what I mean? Like, if he's going to do it, he's going to do it his way. Right, Zach? I mean, that's how I see Belichick.
Yeah, well, I think he would prefer full control. I don't think he would demand it. Because when we look at what the only technical, offer, interest, whatever that he had this year was the Falcons. And I don't think that full control was on the table there. Okay. I really don't think, again, I think he would prefer it because he does want to do things his way. And maybe he, like, even if he doesn't technically have full control, I'm sure he would still have a pretty significant say, but so do all head coaches on every team. So I just don't think he'd be able to get that full control from most teams. I don't know that he would necessarily want it. And like, he's I don't know exactly how old, but he's not young. He is might as well just kind of sit back, relax, coach your team, and he doesn't really have much of a reason to have to take over that like GM type role. So I don't know though. We are a long ways away from actual true non-speculative Bill Belichick head coaching.
I'm with you there.
I'm with you. But
I'm with you.
Yeah, who knows?
But I think I think he would definitely be, if he didn't take that. I do. Before we move on to the next, I think he would definitely want to be at least a part of that hiring process of a GM, though, because he's not going to want to coach a team there he doesn't agree with what the GM wants either, because there is coaches out there that have butt heads with their GMs all the time. Greer did it with their old head coach. I forget his name. Flores. They did not see eye to eye at all, and you saw how that what happened there, right? The coach went out, right? So, and across the league that happens. There's a lot of coaches and GMs that just do not see eye to eye. He wants to draft one person, the coach wants to draft the other, and then you got their button heads, so it's never good. So,
and he'll bring in plenty of his own guys too,
absolutely,
as always,
absolutely. So
they'll have Matt Patricia sitting somewhere in the front office.
And his fucking pencil. I hated that guy, by the way. Zach, can't stand Matt Patricia. I thought that was a terrible decision. You guys brought him in as offensive coordinator, by the way. Anyways,
I know. I know.
Let's move on.
That was crazy.
Please, actually, let's please move on before we get into more Matt Patricia talk.
Right, and we'll get to your game now. We'll get to your game. You guys lost 30-13.
Oh, I forgot we still have to talk about that.
So go ahead, Zach.
I'll just make it quick. The Patriots aren't good. The 49ers are. Like, I don't know what to say here. Like, the defense didn't look great. The loss of Jawan Bentley was pretty prominent there. Kyle Duggar went out early. David Andrews went out early. Andrews now out for the season. He's a top center in the league. He's pretty much the anchor of the Patriots offensive line and has been for almost a decade at this point, 2016-ish. Yeah, that was bad. I didn't like it. I knew the Patriots wouldn't win that game. 49ers, honestly, 49ers did not play their best game, like at all. They had plenty of pretty big mistakes, and Patriots still got killed. One thing that I do want to mention, Jalen Polk caught that pass. If you guys know which one I'm talking about, he did catch that. He got his knee down. Refs didn't call it a catch. It was, in case you guys don't know what I'm referring to, it was a 4th and short. Brissett kind of lobbed one up to Polk down the left sideline, and it was honestly, great ball. Not who I would throw it to, or the route I would throw it to on like 4th and 2, but it was a great ball. Got it right on the sideline, in between the DB and the safety. Polk kind of came down and caught it over the shoulder between with the ball still in the safety's hands, ripped it out. Refs called him out of bounds because he didn't get his second foot down, but he did get his knee down, so it should have been
which is considered 2 feet down.
Yeah, exactly. One knee is 2 feet, and you can barely see it on the replay. Like, I don't blame the refs at all because that was not in. Thanks. I cannot pronounce that. But thanks, person. I want to shout them out. I want to shout them out real quick.
Yeah. Go ahead and continue, and then I'll read that.
Sorry. But yeah, I don't blame the refs for that because that's a tough call to make, and we still would have lost. But yeah, it was a bad game. Patriots were playing the 49ers. That's all you really need to know. It was sad.
Right. We got a super chat coming in from I want to say Cathanet Stumbo. Thank you so much.
Like Cat in the Hat.
Cat in the Hat. Oh, there. Oh, okay, there you go. You're right. There Cat in the Hat. Look at.
I was looking at it for a while too. I was playing that game. I see what they're doing.
You know what? Thank you, Anthony. That is a good one. Cat in the Hat Stumbo. Thank you, Anthony. Hey guys, I think that the Bills will be fine against Houston after coming off our upsetting loss against the Ravens. You probably meant against the Ravens. Oliver is out. That is true. Which is he somehow got on the injury report this week. Gregory Rousseau is in and ready to go. Of course, Gregory Rousseau is still healthy, all ready to go. The Bills will be fine. Yeah, I think the Bills will be fine. And we're going to touch base on that after the previews of last week's game. So thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. Look. You're right, Zach. No, I don't think anybody had the Patriots beating the 49ers, right? Like, realistically, I don't think anybody realistically thought the Patriots are going to have a good season, right? Let's be fair here, right? Like, this is a rebuild year. They're starting a veteran quarterback for a reason. They have their rookie quarterback sitting for a reason, and he should be sitting because you do not want that guy
if he goes out there.
You do not want that guy behind that. Yeah, let Jacoby Brissett, who is a tough guy, tough quarterback veteran, take the hits. He's on his way out the door anyway. So, do
you mind if I real quick, just because I see a comment basically talking about that, so I just want to jump to that real quick.
Go ahead.
Roy Collins. Roy? Yeah.
Right.
So Brissett, the issue here, the issue here isn't that Drake May isn't good enough. It's that the Patriots aren't good enough. That offensive line, if his first NFL opportunities come behind that offensive line, he is going to get killed. Both literally and figuratively. Like, his confidence is going to get killed, but also he's going to be getting sacked like 6 times a game. So that's it. That's really all it is. I do think the receivers, while they're not great, are good enough. They're still like a bottom, lower unit. in the league. But I think that they can get the job done, especially now that Kendrick Bourne is going to be back this week. But that offensive line is genuinely, truly awful. And it is going to take probably a few very high draft picks, like whatever they have this year. Let's say it's pick 3. We'll say it's the same as last year. It'll probably take pick 3 and pick 30, whatever, and some free agents and maybe a trade to fix that offensive line. Like, it is going to be rough. So that's it. That is entirely what it is. Drake May is good enough right now, probably. Who knows, but probably. But the Patriots offensive line is not good enough. And if his first NFL reps, truly like important reps, come behind that offensive line, he is done just straight from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I want to.
No, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah,
connected to what we were talking about, so I figured.
No, I'm good. No, it's good.
So Zach, quick comment there though. Go ahead. Before we go, since we're talking about it, we talked about it a little bit last week. I know you weren't on the show last week, but I agree with the standpoint of this team is terrible. Don't throw Drake May in there because his confidence will get shot because the team around him is just awful. I understand that, but it is the NFL. And historically, when you pick a quarterback in the top 5 and you're not getting much out of your starting quarterback, when you don't start that guy, the questions start coming from the media, the fan support of the team pushing for the starter to be the rookie, all that stuff around it starts kind of coming inwards. Do you actually believe that all that pressure that the Patriots are going to be able to kind of withhold against it? Because at some point, fans are going to stop coming to these games. The money.
I think May will be starting at some point this season, but the Patriots bye week, I probably should remember it. I don't remember exactly what it is off the top of my head, but it's like the last possible bye week. So they don't have like that kind of middle of the season bye where they could transition Drake May to the starter. They could do it there at the end when the games will probably be meaningless. They'll be eliminated from the playoffs. Yada, yada, yada. Boom. Drake May comes in. Woo, fans, let's go.
That's actually a good point.
But
their bye week. I just looked it up. So they have 4 games after that.
Yeah.
4 games after that, 2 against Buffalo. Jeez.
2 against the Bills. Yep.
Jeez.
So those are 2 easy wins right there. But yeah, that'll be great for Drake May's first experiences.
Right.
But I know that, like what you said with the media, the fans, I agree. Like, that will happen. That is very, I guess, immense pressure for especially a first-time head coach, and especially when the team's owner has just won 6 Super Bowls in the last 24, 20, whatever, however many years. But if I'm Gerard Mayo, I'm just saying to Kraft, and I'm not saying Kraft will, push this upon Mayo, but for the sake of the argument, I'm saying to Kraft, I'm saying to the fans, to the media, I would much rather have success set up for Drake May over the next 15 years than to make you guys happy for the next 6 weeks and then screw over Drake May and have to restart this in 2 years. And also, if that happens, Gerard Mayo is out the door. Like, if Drake May fails, let's be honest here, so it'll also be a Gerard Mayo failure and he'll be fired. So, like, they need to just set up for the future. This season, it has been well known that this season is not the season for the New England Patriots. Just set up for the future, set up for next year and the year after, and prioritize those years over this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's how I saw it, man. Like, we talked about the Brissett thing, me and Zach, a little bit. Like, I'm not like, listen, he is a pretty much a journeyman, a backup. Like, but he's a good backup. He is super reliable. Like, that guy, dude, I'd take him in a heartbeat at backup. Like I would trust he could win some game. Like, can you imagine him at least with the Dolphins?
Dolphins should have had him. Yeah, exactly.
I realized Dolphin fans weren't like, oh, But dude, like you get what you get out of him.
Yeah.
But he's not terrible at the same time. He's a reliable backup. Like, so I'm just saying, like, from watching your team play a couple games this year, I can already tell you the offensive line is atrocious. That's one. Two, it's like, dude, you're right. Like, okay, we make the fans happy, bring this guy in, and then all of a sudden he breaks his leg because of fucking offensive line. Mind you, I get it. Like, you can get hurt anytime. You come in next year as a starting gear. Like, I get that part. But at the same time, if you can avoid it, what's the point of having him out? You're not going to playoffs. So just to please some fans for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, like, no. Like, if you're gonna do it, you do it the right way. Do what you set out, which is we're gonna have the guy sit. We're gonna build the team. You may not like what you see this year, but you're gonna like what you see the following, maybe the following next 2 years or whatever. When we start building the team the right way, because right now it is what it is, right? So no, you stick. I think you do see him, but I don't think you'll see him until the very tail end of the season. Maybe the last 3 games when they're just gonna whatever get his feet.
2 against Buffalo. 2 against Buffalo. Let's go.
And who knows by then if we gotta remember too, if we clinch a play, some teams may clinch already, don't need to really play their starters. I'm just throwing that out there too. Could be a little bit easier for the young guy to go against a team that are resting the stars. So we'll move on to the next. But yeah. Oh, by the way, real quick too, Stevenson. What the fuck? Another fumble loss.
Oh yeah. No,
I mean the guy gets paid and he is just. I don't get it. Like, what?
He's benched this week. They're starting Antonio Gibson. Yeah, he got benched.
And
deservedly so. Like, I mean, he's
not good.
He is. By the way, I get that this is like in a way kind of stupid to say, but like if he didn't have that fumbling issue, we're getting into hypotheticals. If he didn't have that fumbling issue, he's a top 8 to 10 probably top 10 running back in the NFL. Like he is a very, very, very good running back. And we saw it the first few weeks. And he's just putting the ball on the ground. He's fumbled every game. You can't do that. That is
drive killers, momentum, everything. Yeah. I don't get it. And that's like, I'm a stickler with that. Like when players get paid and then they underperform, I can't stand it. And we got guys like that too on our roster. It bothers the hell out of me because like, dude, you got paid. Like now you got what you wanted. Step up your game. You know what I mean? There's no excuse for that. It's like, I don't understand how. Yeah. Well, you know what, to credit Von Miller.
He did eventually.
To credit Von Miller, he actually the first year up until his injury, he was living up to the contract because he had like 8 sacks or something. He was not having a bad season. Got hurt. Obviously, this next year, you know how that is. I'll give him the benefit. And then this year, he actually reworked the contract and it was more incentive based. So technically, he did the right thing for the Bills by redoing his contract to make it more incentive based. And he actually had 3 sacks out of the first 4 games. So now, of course, suspended. So that kind of backfires a little bit on us now, right? A little bit too. But it is what it is. So I don't know if Von Miller fits that, but there is other players on my team, which I'll get to later when we talk about. And there's plenty of them that are getting paid that aren't living up to the contract. And I hate that. I hate it. And Stevenson right now is getting paid and he's getting benched. That's not good. That's really not good. He better figure that shit out.
I think he'll be fine because it's. I mean, a fumbling issue should be something that's fixable. He has the talent. Like it is a mental thing.
That's
but
weird.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying more so, like for next season and for the year after.
Yeah, I get it
because he is a good enough running back where he probably proved that he deserved that money, putting the fumbles aside. So if he's able to fix that, which hopefully he is, then that I think it'll be all right. But who knows?
Yeah.
Like again, it could be bad for sure.
To me, then he I don't. Obviously, you have position coaches. Got to get with your running back coach and see what the hell's going on. Yeah. I mean, he needs to go through those drills, where they're hitting the ball with those sticks or like he needs to continue to do these reps.
I think it's a mental thing at this point.
It could be mental now.
I think so. I don't see how you can. I don't know. I don't know.
He's been playing football his whole life.
Exactly.
You would think the mental part of it.
And maybe even like I'm trying to think back on it because he's not somebody who's fumbled a ton. And the only or I guess, well, not someone who's fumbled a ton before this season. The main one that I can think of was like a pretty high pressure situation. It was that I think it was Christmas Eve game against the Bengals where Patriots kind of came back. They're back in it. One possession game on the goal line, and Ramondre fumbled it, and they pretty much lost them the game on that. So maybe mentally it can go back to there where that was a high pressure situation, fumbled it, didn't really have many issues after that, and now he's kind of pressure's back on and he keeps fumbling. But I don't know. Like honestly, I don't.
Well,
I'm just guessing here. This is pure speculation.
Yips. Yes.
What I know,
maybe.
What I know is, it's that if he loses his job and you're paying him, they're gonna wind up trying to find a way out of the contract. Is what I know, because you can't have that. You can't have turnovers, or you just cannot have turnovers, especially from a running back, especially putting the ball on the floor on the ground like that. So either fix it or they'll have him find a new team. He'll be searching for a new team, and that'll be the probably end of his time in New England if he can't fix that, because they're not going to continue to pay him and have him be the backup or have these issues. You know what I mean? Like it's just not going to happen. So anyways, let's move on to the final game of week 4, which is my game. The Buffalo Bills losing to the Baltimore Ravens 35-10. Look, man, flat out, they were a more physical team than us from the jump. Played in a tough environment in Baltimore. Their crowd was lit. They needed that win. I'm not saying we didn't need the win, but they were coming. If they lose that game, they're 1-3. So they were fired up. Obviously, I didn't think we brung it. I didn't think our coaching staff brung it. I thought Joe Brady was his worst job, worst play calling as offensive coordinator since he's taken over. We did a lot. We didn't do things that we did in the first 3 weeks. I don't know. I didn't get it. Like the pre-snap motions, we didn't do a lot, and we were doing that like crazy over the first 3 weeks. We just did a lot of things the wrong way. I felt like Joe Brady's play calling was very vanilla, very cautious, almost preseason-ish. And we just couldn't get off. We just couldn't get anything off going, really. And I will say, a lot of people talk about the Henry run as being like that's what started the whole downshift. I don't think so. I think it was the first series of the first series when we had the ball and we were going downfield, and it was a 3rd and short, and Kincaid dropped it, and we punted, and right there, boom. And they had the 87. It was just kind of. But I think it started there, because if we go down and score a touchdown, which we were driving, who knows how that game goes, right? I'm just throwing that out there. But boom, can't get it on 3rd down, drop pass, punt, touchdown right away, and things just start falling apart from there. Then I will give us credit. If you watch that game in the 3rd quarter, in the second half, we made adjustments on defense, not on offense. And that's why I keep kind of going back to the Joe Brady, because defensively, if you look in the 3rd quarter, we were making stops. They were punting. The momentum was slowly shifting in the Buffalo's favor. We go and score that touchdown. We get the ball back again. We can make it, I think, a 3-point game at that point if we go score a touchdown. And we call a fucking trick play. And like, he didn't call a trick play all year long. And you call it at the worst time against the team that is firing on all cylinders pretty much on defense. Like that touchdown before was a tough one. Josh Allen had to pretty much be Superman, right? Like he made an unbelievable play to get the ball down the field to score that touchdown. And now we're moving it slowly. Okay, it's still not pretty, but it's going. And then boom, you try to do this dumbass trick play that, by the way, got blown up instantly. Curtis, so our offensive coordinator's to blame. Then Curtis Samuel's to blame, because why are you pitching the ball back when you know the fucking play's blown up? Just try to make something out of nothing at that point. And then Josh Allen is going to do Josh Allen things to try to make something out of nothing again. And he got, obviously, fumbled the ball. It was just, and then from there, boom, momentum gone. They score. It's game over. So just like that, and one play changed the whole course of that second half. So not saying we would have won, guys. They were just a better overall team. And we had fits against Derrick Henry when he was in Tennessee. So this isn't like, oh my God, I can't. Baltimore. Like, Baltimore ran a very basic offense. They didn't do anything that was wowing me, but they did a lot of pre-snap motions. I felt like their head coach really exposed Balin Spector, right, who's our filling in for Bernard. Exposed them. That was and rightfully so. That's what you're going to do. You're going to go after your weak spots of your opposing team. So, we got to get a little exposed, and rightfully so. We're missing a lot of guys. Teron Johnson, both linebackers are out. Like, I get it. You're going to attack our weakness, and they did that. And I thought they did a great job at just out muscling us on both sides of the ball. And it wasn't pretty, but listen, guys, once again, we're 3-1. It's not a panic time. Everyone's kind of in this panic. Oh, we've been down this road before. I keep telling people it's a long ass season. Calm the fuck down. We're getting players back from injury, right? A matter of fact, Bernard's coming back this week. Teron Johnson may be back. I don't think so. I think he's be back the following week. But either way, calm down. Calm down. Now, I will say the one worry coming out of that game was Shakir getting hurt. High ankle sprain. He was in a walking boot. He is out this week coming up. This offense right now, I get the whole everybody eats thing. But here's the deal, man. I think it's time that you start getting Kincaid and Keon Coleman a little bit more involved with the offense. Because, listen, Matt Collins, cool guy, like walking with no shoes on. But he's not an offensive. He's a juggernaut. He's not going to scare any kind of defense off, right? You're going to have to get someone's going to have to step up. And if our best player is Kincaid, throw him the goddamn ball. You can't throw him the ball 4 times. Like, you got to let's start getting him more involved. And then if you have to make a trade, I know it goes against what we said. Everybody eats. We don't have the star receiver. But there's one out there, man, you think they can make the move. I say do it, because right now with high ankle sprains, and Shakir is the go-to guy right now for the offense, that's not going to change. That high ankle sprain is going to linger, and it might linger for the rest of the season. Those things just don't go away, guys. Like, he's not going to be 100% even when he's back. So if you can get an opportunity to get an Adams or the guy from Cleveland, I always forget his name, Cooper. I say you do it. I do. If it's feasible, if you could bend the cap a little bit, I would definitely pull the trigger. If I'm Brandon Beane, I get it goes to what everybody eats mentality, and we don't need a star receiver. I was buying into it, and I'm still okay with it. But if Shakir's hurt now and he's gonna be not 100%, now you're really in a bad territory, guys. You can't listen. We have guys, and you could bring up practice squad guys all you want, but the practice squad guys, you gotta let's be real here, right? And if you really believe this team is a playoff team, then you need to bring somebody in that can help, that could push that needle a little bit more. So that's how I saw that game, by the way. It is what it is. I don't think the Ravens are this juggernaut, awesome fucking team, but they're a solid team. I knew when they got Derrick Henry, if they used him correctly, which they seem like they are now, because they didn't do it the first week. But if they're going to use him and Lamar correctly, that's what you're going to see week in, week out by the Ravens. They can be stopped. You saw the Raiders beat them any given Sunday. I don't think they're unbeatable, but they're going to be a tough out. They will be a tough out, and we will see them maybe in the playoffs again. And hopefully we have all the players on board on defense next time around, and hopefully we have a better game plan on both sides of the ball. Anthony, go ahead.
Yeah. I think out of the matchups in this game, obviously Baltimore, that's their A game, running the football. They've done it for years and years with Lamar Jackson. Now they have, one of the best power backs with speed in the NFL to go back there with Lamar. And it did not get off to a good start. That long run just kind of got things rolling for the Ravens, and that entire first half was just, one strong run after another, after another, after another. I'm with you on the second half adjustments. Obviously, the Bills did make the necessary adjustments and got to the point where it felt like they were, within striking distance. And that trick play was just, poor timing for it, because you guys were just progressing very nicely. I felt like I honestly thought, the way that the second half kind of changed out, I actually kind of felt like you guys were gonna make this like into a game again. I did think you guys were gonna go down there and score, and everything about that play was just not what I feel like. Probably not in the agenda. When the play is blown up like that, there's a guy in the backfield with you. Don't pitch it to the quarterback. It's usually a play where you just try and sit down or try and get around him if you can, which didn't look like was going to happen. Just everything about it screamed misery, and Baltimore capitalized as they do all the time. They're a well-coached team. They're going to take advantage when you make a mistake, and that's what happened here. Playing in Baltimore was not going to be easy. I did think the Buffalo would come out with a win in this game, I think is what I predicted last week, just because of the way they were humming. And I think, as you mentioned, like this receiving core, losing Shakir, that's a big hit. You're already kind of thin at receiver, but you guys were making it work based on, the way you guys are calling plays. But it seemed like Baltimore, that secondary is strong. They took advantage of, the thin receiving core, and Allen just didn't have the necessary answers to capitalize on it. It just seemed like, it was over before it even started. Even though you guys kind of fought back a little bit.
It seemed like a JV versus varsity type of game. It was, one thing too, I want to tell Bill's Mafia before I move on to Zach about this game. Once again, calm the fuck down. It's the first time we lost by that many points in like 46 games. We very rarely do we get blown out or look bad. Like the last pathetic showing by us was against the Bengals in the playoffs, like a couple years back. Like other than that, we're in every fucking game, win or lose. Like calm down, slow down, take a step back, breathe, understand what was on the field, who we didn't have, understand that, hey, it was a bad game. Nobody showed up. You can't just say, oh, this guy, like nobody showed up. It happens. Go around the NFL, right? I keep saying it. I keep going back to it. The Raiders beat the Ravens. Are we really going to sit back here and talk about the Raiders are better than the Ravens? Stop. Of course not. They beat them, but that's not the case. They're not better than the Ravens, but it happens. It happens all the time. Like slow down, calm down. Like now, if we're, late in the season, we're fucking, we got 7 wins, we're below 500. I get it. And then we could have this conversation. What went wrong? We're 3-1. Once again, calm down. The Ravens are a good team. We lost against a good team. We have injuries. We have players coming back now. Like things are going to be okay. Like take a deep breath, understand what is in front of you, what the reason why we lost that game. But anyway, Zach, go ahead.
If the Bills need weapons, why don't they just drag Cole Beasley out of retirement again?
Just go for it. I know. I like Cole Beasley a lot. I did, but he's so out there right now in his own world. He's a somewhat normal Antonio Brown. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's not over that totally on the edge, but he's like tinkering. he's not totally there though.
He's a not as good wide receiver Aaron Rodgers. There we go. He's just a bad Aaron Rodgers who can like run routes.
Exactly.
So anyways, Bills game. Losing Khalil Shakir is a massive loss for the Buffalo Bills, and I know the Bills don't really have that established like true threatening wide receiver one,
right.
But he is that guy for the Bills offense. He is like the safety net in a way where if they got nothing going for him, they can find Khalil Shakir somewhere. So not having him is a huge loss, even if he is not necessarily that type of like true number one threat. But that's just I feel like the theme with this week's games, maybe outside of the Patriots, just because they were so like personnel wise on the field, they were outmatched. I feel like the theme this week with the AFC East has been bad coaching decisions. And just maybe not bad, but awkward and not really what they should be. The Bills had a chance in that game. They couldn't pull it off. The Jets really definitely should have won that game. Couldn't pull it off. Dolphins had a chance in that game. Couldn't pull it off. Patriots had no chance. But I don't see how the Bills can go into that game and make just those calls. Again, you're talking about that trick play, like things like that, where you just need to put points on the board. Don't be silly. Don't get too cute. Like, score the football. They weren't able to do that. And it was definitely a rough showing for Buffalo on that was that a Monday night game? Or
Sunday
Sunday
night.
On Sunday night.
Yeah, so you guys Sunday, Dolphins are Monday.
Yeah.
Gotcha. There we go.
Yeah, it was 100%. Like, that was a total team loss though. Like, I'll say it wasn't just the coaching. Execution was bad for the most part. There was only a few bright spots on that game that I could be like, like at least that was okay. Like, very few, because it happened. Once again, it happens. I felt like we came out flat. I felt like Joe Brady. You're not going to see a lot of Joe Brady games like that, in my opinion. I could be wrong. He's freshly new, but I just felt like maybe the moment was maybe he just got caught up with the Ravens defense, and he wanted to kind of play safe ball to avoid like the turnover. I don't know, but it wasn't what he was calling the first 3 weeks. That I do know, right? The pre-snap motions, all that. And by the way, you know who was doing pre-snap motions? The fucking Baltimore Ravens all night long. And it had Balen Spector and this defense rolling to one side, getting really confused and being out of place. And that's why you saw a lot of those plays happen. They were working a lot of holes, a lot of people out of place because they were doing that pre-snap motion that we usually do. And we just weren't doing that. We just were playing very basic. Our offensive line was piss poor all night long. The Ravens just bullied us around. Like I said, their offensive line bullied us. We couldn't do anything. So it really should have probably even been worse scored than what you saw. I mean, honestly, we really kind of kept around for a little bit. We probably shouldn't have. For as bad as we were playing, especially on offense. So anyways, that's that. We lost. We move forward. Zach has to go soon, guys. So what we're going to do, normally we do the awards that we normally do. So we're going to skip the awards. We're going to do that actually after Zach leaves. So right now, Zach, we're going to get to your game and so you can bounce, because Zach has college stuff to do, guys. And that does come first. All right. So anyways, Zach, let's get to your game and then you can bounce. Just give me your thoughts and your prediction of your game coming up here against the Dolphins.
Yeah, so to everybody who is watching and listening, if you want to have an enjoyable Sunday and watch some good football, I would not turn on this game. Just I'll throw that out there first.
Thank you, Zach.
This is gonna be bad. Like it's gonna. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be a poor Patriots offense, who is an offense that is missing their like cornerstone captain, center David Andrews. He's now out for the year. Not a great receiving room. Ramondre Stevenson, I know we talked about it earlier. He's benched because of the fumbling. Jacoby Brissett has been on a decline these last few weeks. I know he's never like anything special, but it seems like every week his performances have gotten worse. Defensively, Kyle Duggar is most likely going to be out. Jabril Peppers is out. Juwan Bentley out for the year. That was that came over a week ago at this point, but the Patriots are pretty much missing not everybody, but a large majority of their key pieces, and the Dolphins are missing Tua, which it has been pretty well documented that the Miami Dolphins are very bad when they don't have Tua. We saw it last week. We saw it two seasons ago. This is going to be just a bad football game. Like, there will not be a lot of points scored. I have it as 13-9 Patriots, and even that might be generous to both teams. Like, this could be a 6-3 game. I guess if I'm going to say one thing to watch, I have Christian Gonzalez on Tyreek Hill. And maybe that won't matter because Tyler Huntley probably won't be able to throw it to Tyreek Hill, but if he can, then that will be a fun matchup. Gonzo is quickly emerged as one of the best cornerbacks in the league. He had a good game on Tyreek Hill last year. He also got his first career interception. Hill, again, we know Tyreek Hill, one of the best receivers in the league, if not the best. So that'll be a fun matchup. Seeing that, but this game's going to not be enjoyable.
Yeah, I'll go next. I think, by the way, Roy coming in with a great point. The AFC can't be 0-4 this week, so
they can go 0-2.
You never know. This Dolphins Patriots game might
tie, right?
Yeah, this.
Oh my god. Yeah. Look, so I think Zach's right, man. I think this is going to be one that you probably won't want to tune into. I think it's going to be low scoring. I would pick the Dolphins, but man, like I picked them last week because I still think they have the better players, like as far as roster goes, even without Tua.
Pick a tie, I dare you.
Yeah, they continually show me they can't do anything. Like they can't score without Tua. It's odd, man. And really it reflects on their head coach. He's not for some reason he cannot game plan with a backup. Like it just seems like he is totally lost out there, and you can't get his playmakers involved, which is really odd. Like Hill should be more involved in the offense. Waddle should be more involved. Achane, like you got all this speed. You don't need to rely strictly on your quarterback. Once again, you could throw bubble screens. You could do jet sweep. You could do some pop passes to Hill. There's so much you could do with those kind of weapons, and yet you're still doing the same play. Like I don't get it. And you got a fast quarterback now. Like I would just honestly, I would not even pass hardly. Like I would just make this into a quick. If you're gonna pass, quick bubble screens, everything quick out bubble screen, whatever you got to do. And just make and run. Have your quarterback run. Go even have Hill as quarterback at times just to throw them off. I mean, why not? Like at this point, what do you got to lose? You're terrible anyways. Your offense is totally out of sync. I would try everything and anything to just at least be different. And remember, the Dolphins did that Wildcat against the Patriots years ago when their offense was terrible at one point. And they just decided that one game to switch it up and do the Wildcat. And remember, if everyone remembers it, the Patriots were like, what the fuck is going on? What is it? And it wasn't like the Wildcat was this it's just been around forever, but in the NFL, really wasn't used much. So I'm not saying like the Dolphins need to turn back into Wildcat offense, but little things like that can get stuff going again. So like, why not? You have the speed. And I don't know. I have no idea what's going on there. Anyways, I'm going to go Patriots because I went Dolphins last week and they're just so I'm going to go 16-13 Patriots. And I think I'm going a little bit high on the score. It could be 13-10, which ambitious. Would be more. Yeah, it could be. But I will say this. I also could see like the Dolphins turning the ball over. With Huntley maybe making some mistakes. Like, I mean, it's a good field position.
Ramondre fumble again.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So I'll go 16-13, I guess. So Anthony, go ahead, man. And then now Zach got some bounce.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this quick. I think Zach, I think you're gonna like this response here. This is a game kind of built for Jacoby Brissett. Backup quarterback, knows how to operate an offense. He can manage a way to kind of squeeze out, especially a team that's frustrating in the Miami Dolphins. I actually had the Patriots win this game 17-10. I do think that, eventually, like when you have a good backup quarterback going up against a team that's in like quarterback futility at the moment, these are the types of games that you get a reliable backup quarterback or a journeyman type of guy to kind of hold the fort down. This is like basically what the Patriots are like hoping for. A game like this, that they actually go into a game with a quarterback advantage. They're not going to have many of those this season. This is the one right here. They're actually going to be, in the higher echelon of the quarterback when you're dealing with against Tyler Huntley, Skylar Thompson, whoever they start. I know Huntley's got to start, but yeah, I think the Patriots kind of control this game. I think, I know Ramondre Stevenson's benched, quote unquote. But I mean, you got to imagine he's going to get some touches in this game. I don't think they're going to completely, hold him to the bench the entire game. Short yardage situation, he might get the rock. I think that's kind of the situation that the Dolphins or the Patriots want to feed into in this game. So I do have them winning. They are at home too, so they have that working in their favor. Just everything seems to be building towards a Patriots win in this game. That's where I'm going. 17-10 Patriots.
All right. I do, man. So we all picked the Patriots. I wonder what Curtis and Captain D would have chose. I have a feeling Curtis would because he's not happy, probably lean towards the Patriots. If I had to guess, just yeah, I do. I do. I think he's pretty he's pretty upset. And Captain D, I told y'all that motherfucker keeps it real. He's been really close on these scores. I think he picked. A matter of fact, Anthony, I think he picked Denver to win last week.
He did. Yeah, but he had him winning big though. He had him score like 27 points or something.
But he still was right on the win. I got to give him credit. I thought he was crazy. I thought, wow, you're insane. I was right there with him. Now he's honest about his own team too. So I give him his dues on that. So, anyways, we're gonna let our Zach go because Zach has studying to do. Zach.
The applications, not studying, applications.
Yeah, gotcha.
Great stuff.
I love it. Stuff.
I know.
So, Zach, once again, thank you for joining us. It's been awesome today, and we're gonna move forward to the next thing. So, thank you, Zach.
See you guys next week. Have a great night,
brother. See you next week.
See you
later. All right, now it's down to 2 Bills and Jets. So let's get to some of the awards and of last week. So let's start with the I guess we're gonna do the Boo this man. Boo this man. All right, Anthony. So we'll go with your game. Go ahead. Who you doing?
Boo this man. I gotta go with 2 guys here. Saleh and Hackett. The coaching staff, offensive game plan was just not there. No offensive adjustments at halftime. That's why I kind of give a boo this man to Hackett on that one. And then for Saleh, coming out, flat, unprepared. Defense aside, defense was great this game. That's kind of what we're expecting. They did have that one drive in the second half that wasn't, 2 drives the second half where the Denver kind of ran the ball a little bit effectively. Other than that, Denver did absolutely nothing for every other possession that they had the ball. But with that being said, 15 penalties, 13 accepted. That just shows an undisciplined roster, and that comes straight from the head coach. At some point, Saleh's got to change this thing around. He's got to come into these games, these big time games, and even against teams that you're better than. I feel like they play to the competition. Like every season we play the Bills, at least when we're at home. When we go to Buffalo, they haven't figured that part out yet. But when you guys come to our place, we usually put up a good fight against you guys. And then always, it seems like the following game, especially if the following game is against a team you expect them to beat, they just come out flat. If they win, they're lucky they win. Or you have a game like Denver where you're supposed to beat them and they end up winning the game against you. It's just unacceptable for a team that's trying to do successful things, make the playoffs, hopefully make a run. Coaching is important in this league. It is very important, and there's going to come a point where your roster talent doesn't always win. It's not always the case. You're going to go up against a head coach. If we're lucky enough, Andy Reid, even McDermott, I'll put in a good category. Not obviously Andy Reid's level, but I put him in the upper tier with the coaches in the AFC. Even the guy from Bengals, Zach Taylor. You have coaches that know how to scheme, know how to call this stuff, and it comes a point where coaching has to win the game for you. And I just don't think Saleh has shown at this point through 4 years as our coach that he can really come out and just out scheme or show us confidence that he will out scheme the other competition. So that's my boo this man. Those 2 guys just need to turn it around at some point. How about you for Buffalo?
Jeez. I'm gonna go. I'll go Joe Brady on this one. I would go overall coaching, but I felt like the adjustments were made in the second half, at least to get us back in the game. So I can't really boo Babbage and McDermott too much because they did make some adjustments that would have gotten us back in the game if it wasn't for the bad play calling by Joe Brady once again. So I'm going to boo this man. It's going to be Joe Brady. It was a poor performance. I think it's a lesson learned. I think he understands that. He's talked about it since. I still have faith in him. This isn't like he's done this, in the past so many times, and he's, not learning from his mistakes. Because listen, I'm all for trick plays. I'm cool with it. It's cool. But you got to know when to select, when to do them. You got to know how the feel of the game is going. The moment, everything, right? Sometimes there's a right and a wrong time to pull those stuff out of the bag, and he chose the absolute worst time. And I know McDermott was not happy about that either. So it wasn't a McDermott thing, right? It's your offensive coordinator, right? So I would say Booze Man is definitely Joe Brady. I felt like he coached scared from the get, and he didn't adjust at all as the game went on. And he also called a terrible trick play that really just put the stamp on his terrible night as offensive coordinator. So he'll bounce back, but yeah, he has to get the Boo This Man for last week for sure. Cat in the Hat, that's such a creative man. I could not figure that out. I cannot believe that Anthony got it. But anyways, Cat in the Hat, Stumbo. AFC East, Dolphins and Pats finished for the basement. Yeah, it's looking like that's going to be the case. But honestly, I mean, I don't know the Dolphins. I'm pretty sure they have a first-round pick. So really, technically, I mean, at this point, if you feel like Tua's not going to be back for a while and you can't get rolling on offense, is it a really bad thing if finish with a bad record? Then you get a top 10 pick. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. If you're a Dolphin fan, I don't know if I know it sucks losing. You never want to lose, but if you're really maybe kind of rebuilding in a way, and maybe you do want another quarterback in place, I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if it's so bad to have a losing record this year.
They might like that guy in their backyard, Cam Ward from Miami. He's doing.
Cam Ward is let me tell you, man, he's the real deal. He plays tonight. I think, bro, that guy's he's fun to watch. He's mature. He's been around in college. It's not like he's this young college. He's been around. He almost went to the draft last year and decided, because they were saying he's going to be around a second round, third round, and he feels like he could be a first round talent. So he stayed another year so he could prove, people like he's worth being a first round, and he's proving that so far. He's just really calm, bro. Even when he makes a mistake, it's rare that you see that from a college quarterback. And so far so good. So look for Cam Ward, and of course the other name is the Manning being thrown out there. Next year. Yeah. But still, he's being thrown out there, and then I'm sure there's other quarterbacks that the Dolphins could look at, or other teams or whatever. But anyways,
Carson Beck, Shedeur Sanders, there's names out there, but
Sanders is another one. Exactly. So we'll see what the Dolphins do, but not my problem. We're not going to be in that category. So all right, let's move on to the next award, which will be the Style and Profiling. And I know I got that clip. Where is that clip at, Marion? Oh,
it's not
oh no, not that one. I don't know. Oh yeah,
Styling and Profiling. Woo!
Yeah. So who you got, Anthony? You have anyone in Style and Profiling?
I do. I'm gonna go with Quincy Williams here. I would say Quincy Williams is probably one of my favorite players from a developmental standpoint. Came over from the Jaguars. I want to say, what's he been with the Jets? Like 3 or 4 years now. Quinton Williams' brother. Came over from the Jaguars as a waiver wire claim, and has just been like basically the epitome of what you want as like a developmental prospect. Slowly, it got better and better and better. Every game he's been there, and every season he's been there, to the point now where he's just like a menace on the field. He is everywhere. He is super fast. When he hits you, you feel that through the TV. Like I feel his hits when he does things. Forced a fumble, got us in position to score one of our 3 field goals. Defense as a whole, like there's really not much you can say bad. I did mention, that middle of the game, little lapse in the running game type of situation that was going on. But otherwise, his defense played outstanding this entire game. Played a game that we should have won. Unfortunately, the offense didn't get that same memo. But Quincy Williams, he's up there with the top linebackers in the league. He's up there. I know last year made it all as an All-Pro. He's working his way to being one of the top linebackers in this league, slowly behind Fred Warner, who obviously is in a different world than the rest of the linebackers in this league. But Quincy Williams gets my tab there.
Okay. Okay. So mine's gonna be this was tough because we didn't have any standouts. We really didn't. But I'm going to go with one that's going to be like, man, people are going to be like, really? Like, I'm going to go with Keon Coleman. And the reason I say this, guys, is because, look, man, he had a big-time drop in that game. Big-time drop. Can't have that happen. However, he came back and made some unbelievable catches to finish that game out. 3 catches, 51 yards, and those catches were not easy. Those were tough, contested catches. The reason why we brung them here, by the way. The reason, like I said, it wasn't unbelievable numbers. However, it could have gotten his head. One, he could have made, it could have bothered him the rest of the game. He could have made some mistakes, dropped the ball more. Like, he's a rookie, guys. That happens, right? And you want to, kind of blame him for that. But the fact that he dusted it off, continued on, and was pretty much mistake-free moving forward. He called all his passes thrown to him. I have to give him his dues because of that. It's not easy as a rookie to go through a big drop, in a game and then come back and be productive. And that's what he was, right? It was an ugly game overall, but like I said, man, I feel like he bounced back in a positive way. So if there's anything positive to take from that game, is that Keon Coleman could bounce back from having a bad moment and play at a high level, at least after that, is how I feel. Scott, Keon dropped a critical. No one deserves any. Listen, Scott, I get it, but I got to throw we're going to give these are awards. I have to give one. And you can't listen, man. You don't think Stephon fucking Diggs made drop passes? You don't think the critical drop in the fucking playoff game against the Chiefs wasn't critical? And he's a fucking one of the better receivers in the NFL. I mean, it happens, Scott. You know what I'm saying? I get where you're going. It was critical, but come on, man. Everybody fucked up in that game. Everybody. I'm only giving him his dues because he bounced back from that, and he's a rookie. He's not a veteran like a Stephon Diggs. We're expecting Stephon Diggs to bounce back, and now he's gonna, move on. That's where I'm going with that. Keon Coleman, as we all know, guys, he's a second-round fucking pick. Number one, he's not a top 10 receiver. It's going to take a little time for Josh and him to develop that real, true chemistry. And not only that, he's not getting a lot of targets early on, right? It's not because that's how the offense is working. So I'll be honest with you, guys. Moving forward, or at least while Shakir's out over the next week or two, or however how long Shakir is going to deal with that ankle. If I'm Joe Brady, I am definitely getting Coleman and Kincaid involved heavily. And I know it works against what the Buffalo Bills were trying to do on offense, which is spread the ball around, blah, blah, blah. But outside of Kincaid and Coleman, who else right now, guys, has done anything? Come on. Let's be real. They may have catches, but they're not producing, right? Curtis Samuel. He's not producing, guys. Dawson Knox, I don't even know where he's at. Right? Mac Hollins, good guy, but come on, man. He's the reason why he's on a team every year. That's it. Am I missing somebody, guys? So let's, once again, man, I really feel like fans are so quick, bro, to judge somebody on their very first year, rookies, especially rookies, right? Bum, bust, terrible.
Well, I never understood the hate for Coleman. In the initial phase of the draft process, and obviously things change as it progressed. He was a guy that you were looking at in the mid-teens, a big body receiver. He's not your typical top-notch receiver with the speed, the quickness,
right.
The ability to create separation in short spurts. He's not that player, but he's your Mike Williams-esque type of player. Obviously, it's a long way to go to reach Mike Williams' stature of earning that reputation as a 50-50 ball winner. But that's the kind of player that he was at college. It's
correct.
That takes time to develop that confidence to be able to do that. This was never going to be he comes in there and he's an elite receiver out the bat, but
right.
It's just a weird situation sometimes. I feel like players go certain places and they're expected to be immediate contributors, because of where the team is at. But that's not the way this works. It's a league that's all about developing prospects and developing these players.
Yep. And I think I'll throw another one out there too. I think he has more pressure from Bills Mafia because of the Stephon Diggs trade. And he was our receiver we drafted right after. Right. So let's say we had, that's unfair. You know what I mean? Like it's exactly like I don't see it that way, but I see how I think that's how Bills Mafia looks at it. Oh, we got stuff. Then we got draft. This is the first guy we drafted. We could have traded up, got Brian Thomas. Or we could have, Worthy. We could have got like, guys, whoa, slow down. Like, we knew what we were getting in Coleman. I did a draft profile on Coleman. Why the Bills should draft Coleman? I thought the Bills would draft Coleman, and they did. So here's the deal, man. Guys, we needed a big body receiver. Josh Allen needed a big body receiver. He's come out and said it. We've always had small receivers on this team. We went big. We went physical. He made a drop. Okay. Get over it, guys. Like, is it that critical? It's a fucking week 4 game.
That's something I get down to. Like, slow down. The Bills get a lot of grief for the whole Xavier Worthy situation, like trading the pick to the Chiefs and making the Chiefs pick him. Like, I just didn't see Worthy as a fit in Buffalo. Like, he went to the perfect team for his skill set. Andy Reid's going to figure out a way to get this guy the ball and make him like a miniature Tyreek Hill. That's the unfortunate part of it. But you guys were not going to pick him. If you guys went stick and picked, you weren't picking him. So the Chiefs would end up getting him no matter what, because they would probably trade up with somebody else to get him, unless that team was picking him, obviously. But that whole argument about the Bills, like what were they thinking? It makes no sense, because that wasn't the guy that they wanted anyway, probably. I mean, that's why they didn't pick him. So exactly.
I listen, guys. Once again, man, our offense is a spread out offense, right? I also feel like if Coleman went to a team that was maybe not like that, and they were using Coleman more as a number 2, let's say, or even maybe a 1, depending on where he went, I think his numbers would be a lot better. Like, guys, it's not like we have like these unbelievable receiving numbers on our team this year. Like, we don't. Like I'm just throwing that out there. We're not. Where was the stats? I thought I had the stats pulled up. Yeah, so Khalil Shakir, 230 yards. We're 5 weeks in. Like, that's not. There's players getting that almost in the game. Just throwing that out there. Like Kincaid, y'all want to know what Dalton Kincaid has through fucking 4 weeks, going on week 5? 132 yards. Okay, guys, Coleman has 126. He's not far off from the guy that all you guys said was going to lead this team in yards and receptions this year. He is not far off from that guy. Right?
I think it's been a weird year in the NFL as a whole, though.
6 yards short.
Passing offenses are down, like, as a whole this year, I feel like.
No, they are. Yeah, they are. But I said,
I get your point.
This team was, the Joe Brady-led offense, the scheme was to get everybody eats, right? It's not going to be solely on 1 or 2 receivers. We're going to move the ball. Everybody's going to eat. And I am fine with that. So, and I think if Bills Mafia is fine with that, then you should expect these numbers to be what they are. Like, that's what it's going to be. We're not like throwing the ball to 2 different, like, Diggs only and Gabe. It's Diggs and Gabe. It's Diggs and Gabe. Then you're going to get the results that Diggs and Gabe got over the last 3 seasons plus with the Buffalo Bills. It's a different offense. So I would say, guys, slow down. Yeah, I think you're going to see better from Coleman as the weeks and as the week goes on, as the weeks go on this season. And I think Bills Mafia will look back in maybe 3 years and say, "Oh, that was a great pick," because I think by year 2 and year 3 is where Coleman will start to shine. I feel like, because I think eventually this offense will go in a little different direction than the everybody eats concept. Am I saying Coleman's a number 1? No, I don't know. Can he get there? Maybe, but I feel like in time, if the Bills do go out and get a true number 1, let's say even via trade, let's say they do bring in Adams, let's say they do bring in Cooper, just throwing this out there, and let's say these guys are here for 2 years and they're the number 1. That's not a bad thing to have Keon Coleman, number 2, Shakir in the slot. Now you're talking. Now you're talking a little bit more yard, like just throwing that out. So I would just pump the brakes, give the kid a break. I don't think he's the worst guy, wide receiver rookie out there. I would like to see the other numbers by these rookies, receivers. I know Brian Thomas is looking real good. Leggett actually has filled in nicely over, I think, in Carolina is where he's at now, where he got drafted by. He took over Thielen spot, and he's filled in nice. And then I don't think Worthy's all that, right? Worthy is okay. Like they're making him work over there. They're designing some plays for him, but he's nothing special. So just calm down, guys. He'll be all right in time. You got to be patient with the guy, bro. So let's go to the next, which is the What's Up with Dad award, and we'll do.
I said, what's up? What is up with that? Now, if you eat that school lunch, you better stay away from that rectangular pizza. You know why? Because it is nasty. Yeah.
And by the way, yes, the school pizza is so disgusting. I agree with that, except for the Mexican pizza. If anyone remembers the Octagon, they called it a Fiesta pizza back in the day. So damn good. But they only had it like once a month. But the other pizza, ugh. Anyways, Anthony, so what's up with that? What you got?
I'm gonna need a reminder. I'm sorry. kind of lapsed on this one. What are we doing this one?
What's up with that? Could be anything, right? So what's up with the play calling? What's up with the referees? What's up with I don't know, the commentaries? Could be anything.
What's up with that? Honestly, my biggest what's up with that is the Monday Night Football 2 games. I think that's
see, there we go.
I honestly, I mean, I like the idea of having 2 Monday Night Football games, but why are you playing them at the same time? That's the weird part to me, because, like, I mean, granted, I wasn't really watching the Tennessee Dolphins game, whatever, but they're really trying to get more eyes on the league. Like, why did they start the first game, at like 5, let's say, so it runs through 8, and then you start the other game just to get everyone watching them. I kind of found myself in a situation where initially I was bouncing back and forth, but then I said, this game kind of sucks. Let me just stick with the the Lions Seahawks game, because that one at least had some entertainment going on. Like I said, I like the idea of more games and more individual time slots, but the whole staggered starting time is kind of weird to me.
No, I'm with you there. I don't get it either. I mean, obviously, it's money. Right? It's always money. So that's probably the reason why they're doing the split Monday Night Footballs, which is, to me, it's so, like, dude, come on, man. Like, it's there's no 2 main of fucking events in a UFC where they're having 2 different shows on one night where you got to go, oh damn, what do I choose? You're like, no, bro, main event is a main event. Like, and Monday Night Football is a main event for that week. Sunday Night Football is a main event for Sunday. Like, there's one game. That's it. I don't want to have to choose which fucking game. Like, that's the whole point. Like, our games are done with as a fan, and we're going to sit here and watch just 2 teams facing each other. That's it. But I'm with you there. Like, what is up with that? It's just stupid. I don't know what that means. Okay. Let's see here. Roy, do these fucking split screen piss anyone else off of those games? Yeah, and that's another thing. They did that on our game. Not when we were playing the Jags. I'm like, dude, like, if you're gonna have 2 games on, then don't show a split screen on the other fucking game. That obviously I'm watching this game. If I wanted to watch that fucking game, I'd be over there. Like, what are you doing? I'm with you on that. God, what's up with that? What do I have this week? I guess I already said it. The play calling, the trick play was terrible. So I already ranted on about that. I won't do it again. But yeah, that trick play. What's up with that? Just a bad call, bad timing. Not the team also to do it again. So Anyways, let's move on, and we will. What do we have now? Oh, and then the games. So we already previewed. Yeah, we already previewed the Patriots game. So let's start with the Jets and the Vikings. Let's go ahead and start with that first. You guys are going to London, correct?
Yep, we're in London.
Early game. That means you got to wake up nice and early for that game.
Oh yeah.
Do you have your tea and crimpets or whatever? Are you doing that whole London thing or no?
No tea and crumpets for me on this one. It is my birthday week, so we're doing like a little birthday kind of early morning breakfast type of situation here.
It's your birthday?
Not tomorrow. Midweek, Wednesday, the night.
Oh well, happy early birthday! Everybody wish him a happy birthday in chat.
Yeah, appreciate it.
How old are you turning?
Turning 35.
Okay, there we go. Well, happy early birthday, bud.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So for this game, I kind of talked to myself. So the evolution of a Jet fan is a week-to-week thing. You go from Monday, our team sucks after the Sunday game. You eventually evolve into hold on, we have a chance. And then by Friday, you're kind of building up that theory of how this is possible. I'm definitely in the how this is possible type of situation. This is a game I could definitely see going either way. Sorry
about that.
There's an obvious transition here with the coaching staffs. I think Kevin O'Connell is a bright coach. I think he's obviously doing something right in Minnesota with a backup quarterback and Sam Darnold. They're at 4-0 for a reason. He's beaten some good teams along the way, the 49ers. He's beaten Green Bay, who is also coached by a pretty strong coach in LaFleur. Something about Kevin O'Connell's touching all the right buttons right now, whereas the Jets coaching staff maybe is not touching the right buttons. But a strength that I think the Jets kind of fall themselves into is their defense doesn't usually fall against stronger offenses. I think the Jets defense is going to be the difference maker in this game. They're going to hold us to a attainable kind of contest for the most part. And then,
yes, it was. Sorry. I had to close my little blinds here because my lighting's all messed up. But hey, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. All right, go ahead, Anthony. That's for you, Roy, by the way. Go ahead, Zach. Sorry.
I think the defense keeps the Jets in this game. And I think, when you look at Minnesota's passing defense, it's last in the NFL. If there's a time for this offensive coaching staff to figure out how to friggin' operate an NFL offense, this is it right here. It's an area where you can really exploit Minnesota, attack that defense. But in the same sense, Minnesota's going to watch the film from last week and come in with pressure with 5 or 6 guys and challenge this offensive line like Denver did last week. All that to be said, I have talked myself over the cliff on this one with the Jets coming away with a win. It'll be tight, but I do have us beating Minnesota 24-20. Sorry, was my line on this game.
All right. Roy, do you want me to do that again for you? I can go ahead and adjust my lines again for you if you like. I was wondering why you were giggling, Anthony, over there. Listen, man, my blinds were open. It was affecting my lighting. You guys saw a little bit of moon. All right, calm down. All right. Anyways, so yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one, man. All these out of fucking over the country games, man, out of overseas games. I hate these fucking games, man. I'm so glad we didn't have to go this year. It's so annoying. By the way, when did you guys get there? To London? Did you do the late?
Yesterday morning. Yesterday morning they were there.
Oh, terrible! Why so late? We did that shit. Does not. That's well. You know what? Thank you for telling me because now I'm going to pick the Minnesota Vikings. I wonder when they got there.
I'm not sure when they got there. Can't answer that one.
It's never good getting there late. Take it from Bills fans. We got there a few years ago against the fucking Jaguars. We got there a day early, and it throws everything, like your sleep, everything, jet lag. Then we had also practice the same day. You got there. They got us. So I guess it's evenly matched. You both are getting there late, or basically. I don't like that, by the way. I think both teams should get there a couple days early, get used to the time difference, and get to practice. And because believe me, these guys, I don't get why teams continue to do that. Get out there super late. They shouldn't do that. But whatever. Huh?
Might as well practice the week there. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. That just doesn't make sense. You get your players adjusted to time, get their rest at least for the day after that long flight, and then get them, then get to practice. And I don't understand why coaches do that. We did that, and I fucking hated it. We looked so bad coming out the gate. There was another team that did it last year too. I forget who it was. It might have been Tennessee, and they looked bad too out the gate. But anyways, it's a tough one to call, man.
Mm-hmm.
It really is, because Minnesota's got to give credit to Sam Darnold, man. Sam Darnold's pretty at a high level and I did not see that coming. I don't think Sam Darnold's a bad quarterback. I didn't see him playing this well, but he does have one of the best, if not the best, receiver in the NFL, and Justin Jefferson. I think he is. I do. I don't care if I don't care if the Peters voted Tyreek Hill. I don't think Hill's the number one. I'm sorry. I disagree. Clearly it's showing, because he can't fucking do anything clearly without his quarterback, apparently. So, and look, he's doing this with Darnold, and I think he would do this with any quarterback. I'll be honest with you. Throw it up there. He's going to get open. His route running is excellent. His hands are excellent. His speed is on point. The dude is an overall elite receiver, young, and just makes plays happen. So if you have that,
I saw Roy's comment in the chat on my opinion on Darnold. I'll respond to that.
See the ass crack one. Let me see here. This one, or no, it's another one.
Is Anthony surprised? 544. He sent it. I'll answer it.
Okay, go ahead. All right. So, I'm sorry. There it is.
You're good. So to answer this question, I am not surprised with Darnold's play here in Minnesota. I mean, obviously, what he's doing, being he won NFC Player of the Month, that's a surprise to me. But I'm not surprised by his ability to be, able to play the quarterback at an efficient level. I think his situation in New York was absolutely just a travesty. I think the Jets failed him when he was here. I know he was asked that question in an interview earlier this week, and he took the high road and said, I had my opportunities, so on and so forth, which is what I would have expected out of him. I don't think that the Jets put him in a position to be successful while he was here. They hired Adam Gase, for Christ's sake. I mean, that's already issue number one. There was really no talent put around him in those drafts following the time he was picked. There was a lot of defensive players picked in the early rounds. Didn't really build around him. Poor offensive line, poor skill players. Everything about what the Jets were rolling with while Darnold was there was literally seemed like they were building for him to fail. So I'm not surprised there. He had a stretch of games at the end of his rookie year, 5 or 6 games where he was just going toe-to-toe. He had a game where he went toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers, and the Jets should have won that game. But eventually the defense fell apart, and Rodgers won the game for him. That 5-game stretch in 2018, I think is still, from that point on, I think that is still the best 5-game stretch I have seen out of a Jets quarterback from there. The Jets have not strung together 5 games from a quarterback since then. So to be shocked with what he's doing, obviously shocked with the height of what he's doing, but I'm not surprised that he's successful in Minnesota with an intelligent offensive coordinator or head coach, but he's calling the plays there in Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if the league pays for travel now. I don't think so. I don't think they do. I'll be honest. I think that's on the owners. I could be wrong, though. That's something you have to look up. But I don't think the NFL pays for that. I don't. But I could be wrong. So don't hold me to that. Yeah. So I think it's a tough one for me to call, man. I'm going to go Minnesota. Just because they've been playing at a high level, and you guys really are struggling kind of on offense. You really aren't really. I mean, you had that one game where I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Right. I forget who it was you beat. Where you guys were the Patriots. Yeah. Where Rodgers was clicking. You're like, it seemed like you guys were finding your rhythm, and then you go and, do that against Denver. So, yeah. I don't know if you're. I just think right now, offensively, you're just weird place. I don't know if it's just can't find what you want to do, or you can't get in a rhythm, or your identity. I don't know what it is, but something is weird with your offense where it's clunky at times. Your defense is still doing what your defense does. If I'm a Jets fan, I'm not concerned about the defense. Like, your defense is keeping in the games, which they did all last season. It's the offense. It's still clunky, and it shouldn't be clunky. So that's and the flip side, Minnesota's offense is the opposite. They're not clunky at all. They're playing at a high level. Their defense does give up points, though, so this could be potentially a shootout. That I will say, because if you saw the Minnesota Packers game, Minnesota had that lead, and their defense just, if they didn't have that big lead to start that game, they didn't jump all over Green Bay, they probably lose that game. Because Green Bay totally stormed back, but they just had a big enough lead to just manage to squeak by in that game. So I'll go Minnesota in a shootout, because I don't think Minnesota's defense is that great where they can, and hold the Jets down to 9 points like they did, where the Jets scored 9 last week. I don't think that's going to be the case again. So I'm going to go high scoring game. I'll go 33-27 Minnesota. I think it's a high scoring game. I think it comes down to Minnesota maybe having the ball last. They wind up scoring a touchdown, maybe something like that to win it. But I also could see it going the opposite way, possibly. It's going to be close, but I'll go Minnesota's favor. Because it's not really a home for anyone either. So it's not like you got to worry about one of the other fan bases being louder or hurting the offense because they're making that much noise. Like, I think there is no home field advantage. I think that's even Steven. Yeah. I'm just going based on whose offense has more weapons and all reality. And I'll go with the Minnesota. And listen, that's no disrespect on the Jets. The Jets are a really good defense, but I just feel like Minnesota's offense really is good too. Like, they're going to get points. They're going to get some points here, and they're going to, I think, get at least 30, 33, 30, somewhere around there. So I could be wrong, and it could be 24-21. I don't know, but I'm going to go high scoring game, and I'll take the Minnesota by a few points. So that's where I got on that game. Let's get on to the next game, which is the final game. Bills and Texans. I think a lot of people are interested in this game because obviously Stephon Diggs, going against his former team and Josh Allen, his former quarterback. Buffalo's traveling to Houston after an embarrassing loss to the Ravens. So this is an important game for Buffalo. It's really kind of an important game for Houston because Houston has not played that well. Let's be real. Houston's kind of underperforming in a way, even though they're 3-1. They have had some close calls, and they almost lost in Jacksonville last week. And Jacksonville's not a good team, as you guys know. So I guess I'll start first on this one. I think it's going to be a good game. I do. I think it's going to be close. I've been calling most of our games blowouts. Obviously, I was wrong last week. I thought we were going to beat the Ravens by at least 10, 13 points. Obviously, I was wrong. But this game here, I have it close. I think they got a lot of weapons. They're at home. Tank Dell's returning back into action. But
this is Sunday football, right? Or is it?
No, 1 o'clock game.
It's not?
Nope, 1 o'clock game.
Okay.
We got Bernard returning for us, so there is some positives. Ed Oliver's out. That hurts us a little bit. So Dwayne Carter will be filling in. I like him. He's a rookie. No Von Miller. So AJ Epinesa and Solomon, who I would say, guys, be on the lookout for Javon Solomon. He's a rookie we drafted, led college in sacks last year, I believe was 16. The dude can get after a quarterback. He's a project type player, as you all know. He needs to work on his run defense, but he's kind of what Vaughn is right now. He is a pressure quarter. He gets on. You basically bring him in on passing downs, right? To get to the quarterback. And that's really what we're using Vaughn for. Vaughn's not even starting, guys. Vaughn is behind AJ Epinesa on the depth chart. Vaughn comes in on passing downs. And that's what Solomon's going to do. And the one game that Solomon played this year, he had a strip sack. So if there is any positive to come out of this, is that we may have a guy that's going to shine. And maybe he, I always said, man, sometimes these players just need their moment. And maybe this is a moment for Solomon over the next 4 weeks while Vaughn is out to make a name for himself, not only for the fans, but for the coaching staff. Because if he does, he's going to get playing time. And let's be real, guys. I like AJ Epinesa, and he will remain starter, but he is not living up to the contract that we gave him this year. I thought he played really good last year. He got paid this year, and I'm not saying he's getting paid big bucks, but he's getting paid, and he's underperforming. So we'll see what Solomon does. But I would say look for him in this game to come up with some big plays. Getting after Stroud. And yeah, man, I just feel like they're going to probably try to force the ball a little bit to Diggs to try to, showcase him a little bit against his former team. That might backfire on them. Our corners are still playing at a pretty high level, and Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford. So yeah, I think this is a close game. I'm going to go, I think I said the score the other day, what I thought was like 31-24. Yeah, 31-24 is what I went with on my Friday night show. So I'm going to stick with that, 31-24. I think we finally, I think we bounced back on offense versus Texans, who are a totally different defensive team than the Ravens. We get back on track, even though we're missing Khalil Shakir. I would say also be on the lookout for more 12 personnel. I think Dawson Knox might get a little bit more involved this week because he's been a no-show. Another guy we're paying that hasn't produced. But I think maybe he finally shows up. I think Keon Coleman will probably have a pretty good game as well because he's going to need to step up. So look for those three players. I would say Coleman, Kincaid, and Knox to be your offensive your top offensive guys for Josh Allen, his go-to guys in this game. I don't think Matt Collins makes a difference. Curtis Samuel's still not right. It could be the turf toe. It could just be he's just not getting play, calls, for him. I know Joe Brady talked about Curtis Samuel for a little bit about he needs to get him more involved. Maybe we do see him more involved this game, but until I see it, I don't know. I'm not going to say that this week that he will be the focal point of the offense. I think it's those three guys I mentioned before. James Cook, I think, will have a bounce back game too. I could see him having like a 60 to 80 yard game, maybe a touchdown as well. So that's how I see it. I think Josh Allen bounces back as well. And that's it, man. That's how I see this game going. And I think the Texans, man, are a good team. CJ Stroud's the real deal. I think he's only going to get better in time. I like their young head coach. He's really good. Nico Collins is a dog. Tank Dell's a dog. And Stephon Diggs is still Stephon Diggs. So they're going to get theirs. They're going to put some points up. It would be stupid of me to say they're not. They're going to get some points. It's just up to the offense to counter that. Beat him in a high scoring game. That's how I see that. Roy, Optimus runs a turnover with this one. Yeah, I know. Beth, without Shakir, I see Samuel getting involved more. The thing is, Beth, and I just mentioned it, I have no idea what's going on with Samuel. And that turf toe thing is like really painful from everything I've heard. It's one of those nagging injuries that you just kind of got to play through until it heals. And I have a feeling that that's why Curtis Samuel is not being used the right way right now early on in the season, is they're kind of just, he's limited, if I could say that right. So maybe he's getting to the point where he's starting to feel better, and maybe Joe Brady will dial it up more for Curtis Samuel, because I've seen way better Curtis Samuel. I've seen him as a running back. He's everything. He could do a lot of different things, and we haven't done that with him. So there has to be a reason, because you got to remember Joe Brady coached him in Carolina. So it's not like Joe Brady is so confused on how to work, get Curtis Samuel involved. He knows exactly. Matter of fact, Curtis Samuel's best year was with Joe Brady as OC. So it just doesn't make sense that all of a sudden, he doesn't know what to do with him. I think it's more leaning more towards he's not 100% and they're limiting him and, what he can do on the field. So we'll see as the season goes on how this goes. But I could tell you, man, if it continues on and Curtis Samuel's still kind of limited and just not really producing much, it's going to be a bad signing. And it sucks, but it happens. No GM's perfect. But I talked about this Friday. I feel like the Buffalo Bills have a lot of guys right now that are not living up to their contracts, and it sucks. And I hate that, but it's the NFL. It's what happens. You can't go back in time. I was happy about the Curtis Samuel signing. He could turn it around still, but through 4 weeks of football going on week 5, he's definitely not lived up to the contract. Tyler Bass clearly has not lived up to his contract. Dawson Knox clearly hasn't lived up to his contract. I know somebody said Ed Oliver. I disagree. I think Ed Oliver has lived up to his contract. You're not going to always see stats. That's not what makes a player play at a high level. I think Ed Oliver does a lot of things that you're not going to see on the stat sheet. He's a really, really solid player. I think he has lived up to his contract so far. Von Miller redid his contract, so I'm not going to say he's not lived up to his contract, but I wouldn't say he's also producing unbelievable either. But there's other players too I'm probably missing that are just AJ Epinesa hasn't performed well this year either. These guys have to step up, man. It just sucks when you're paying guys like that. When it could have gone out and got a Derrick Henry instead of signing a Curtis Samuel who hasn't produced, and now you could really use a Derrick Henry. I'm just throwing that out there. Like these guys have to start playing at a higher level, man. For me, to make it worth it. That's why I keep saying, like, guys, like, I wouldn't be opposed to a trade. I want to be opposed to a trade for Devontae Adams or Cooper. For as much as you guys feel like we can't make it happen because the salary cap, it can happen. Don't buy into the whole salary cap all the time. Like, oh, it's impossible. We got no money. Like, there's always a way around it. Every GM, every good GM knows how to bend the cap a little bit, move this around. Also, too, you can also, have the other team pay for some part of the contract if you throw a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So, guys, don't get caught up in the whole salary cap. I would get caught up more in, will Brandon Beane go away from the whole we can win without a superstar wide receiver thing? Like, because he's going to have to bite that then, because if he makes a trade for an Adams or a Cooper, then obviously what he said is not true, right? Now he feels like, nah, we need a number one, right? And it may be the case. I hate to say that. And I like the whole everybody eats thing, but we saw in week 4, sometimes that can backfire against a better defense. And I like Khalil Shakir, but I don't know if you'll ever truly be that unbelievable offensive weapon that will scare a team.
Everybody eats is a good philosophy, but you need someone with clean hands to get to the food first. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just have someone with dirty hands getting there all the time. I think it's a good philosophy, like, in the grand scheme of things. And we've seen, I think I brought up Matthew Stafford the year after Calvin Johnson. He had one of his better years after Calvin Johnson left. Does that mean Calvin Johnson was inhibiting him? No. I think when you have a number one receiver, it's sometimes like kind of you feel like you have to go that guy first. But eventually, like, when you open up your passing game a little bit more, it works out a little bit more in your favor. Now, I think that the Lions receiving core at the time maybe had, like, more names that you can trust. I forget who they had there, but I think it was maybe the year of Nate Burleson. Maybe he was there or something like that. I know that they had reliable targets there at the time. What the Bills have right now is not a class of receivers that you feel confident in, but they're players you feel like can eventually develop. And that's unfortunate, the kind of the shady area they're in right now.
Yeah. I even forgot about MVS, by the way, another player that is a waste of money. Total waste of money. Guaranteed contract to you guys. You get rid of him, you're going to eat the like, you see what I mean? Like, bro, like, why would, like, MVS was I didn't mind the Curtis Samuel signing, guys. The MVS signing made no sense. I'm sorry. It made no sense to me at all. The guy has been known throughout his career to have terrible hands. His drop percentage is one of the worst in the league. And you bring in a guy that can't catch a fucking football, like, clearly him and Josh Allen too, whenever there is a play drawn up for MVS, doesn't work, hasn't worked, right? And I'm not saying it's MVS fault. It could be Josh, they're just not on the same page, but either way, it's not working out. It's a waste of money at this point. And it may be a waste of money. But yeah, I'm on board. Everything I'm hearing supposedly is there's going to get a deal done next week, supposedly for Adams. He does want out. I think the Raiders are going to make that deal happen with a team. I think they're willing to move on, and I don't think they're just blowing smoke. I think they are done with Adams being a Raider. And Cooper, I'm not so sure his situation in Cleveland, but he is on the block. So once again, if Bean's not on the phone, he's not doing his job. Even if he doesn't get the deal done, I at least want to know that he made the effort to at least better the team, because you have to. That's your job. That's what you do. It's what you're brought in here to do. Love Brandon Bean. He doesn't make trades often, but you got to sometimes look at the writing on the wall, make a move that makes sense. And if it makes sense to bring in a guy like Cooper or Adams, then you fucking do it. And you worry about the rest of the shit later on. That's how I see it. And y'all saw last year when we brought in Rasul Douglas, kind of had to do it, right? Like, had to do it at that time. Because Trey White went down an injury. You couldn't count on, at that time, Elam, right? You needed a true number one, number two to be next to Benford at the time. And if he doesn't pull that trade off, who knows how the rest of the season goes. So you got to sometimes do what you're uncomfortable with doing. I think Bean's uncomfortable with trading for players, in my opinion. I know he doesn't like giving up his draft capital. But, dude, you have a shit ton of draft picks, bro. Matter of fact, you have a second coming from Minnesota, I believe. Who cares? Throw them a second. If they want a second, go give them something else too to sweeten up the deal if maybe they eat some of the contract. But we'll see. We'll see. So anyways, guys, that's it for the show. We've been on here. I was saying this was going to be a short show.
I'll give my quick prediction to the game too.
I was saying 1 hour, and we've been on here 2 fucking hours.
So I'll give my quick prediction to the game. I know we're running over.
Go ahead, Anthony. I'm sorry.
No, all good.
I just look up. I'm like 2 hours in. I'm like, we were gonna be here 1 hour, guys. Short show. Go ahead, Anthony. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Ball. It's always fun.
Yeah,
it's all good. So I actually have some concerns, obviously, with what we saw out of the Bills last week. They're not taking chances. It's obviously when you're kind of limited at the receiving position, you can't really stretch the ball down the field. That's got to work more into their game plan in order for, I think, this offense to take that next step that they really need to. And they have the ability to. Obviously, Josh Allen can stretch the ball down the field, but which one of these receivers is going to be that guy? Can Keon Coleman win the one-on-ones down the field? Obviously, Shakir's down. You guys have Kincaid, more of that intermediate tight end type of thing. He can get downfield, but I think that's going to be a little bit of the problem here. I think that, Houston obviously has the skill position players across the board. I know Mixon's out this week, but the receivers, they got Collins, they got Diggs, Tank Dell. Obviously, they have the artillery. And, the Bills last week, they just did not have anything clicking. Is this going to be a bounce back game, or, is this going to be kind of a lot of the norm? Is the copycat league, teams are going to mimic what they saw in the weeks prior. And Texans have a strong defense. That secondary is, loaded with playmakers. I do think they kind of keep this passing game intact. And I actually have Houston win this game. 30-21 is kind of where I was balling with this one.
Okay.
That's kind of my prediction there.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, man, I also I can see that happening too. If we, they have a ton of weapons. There's no doubt about that. There's no denying that. But I do think the return of Bernard helps a ton for this team. Teron Johnson is questionable. I just don't think he plays. But either way, with Bernard coming back, it's a big step in the right direction for this defense to play at a higher level than they did last week. And like I said, I know that Houston's going to get theirs. I just think this offense of ours, even without Shakir, can find their rhythm again. And I think Joe Brady calls it different. Goes back to what was working for the first 3 weeks at least, and got to do more pre-snap motions, just a little bit more of what was working. And get back to also James Cook running the ball a little bit more. He didn't really get the ball, run the ball last week a lot because the Ravens defense was really good against the run, and they showcased that. So yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I also, it wouldn't shock me if the Texans win either. I think the Bills are the veteran team, and the veteran head coach. I think Josh Allen has the nod over CJ Stroud for as much as I like CJ Stroud. If you're going nod for nod, the receiving crew is better, obviously, than ours. I feel like our defense is better than theirs. So, I just feel like we have the overall better roster as far as veterans and coaching and leadership goes. And I think that's why really we outduel them at the end of the day. That's why I'm going advantage Buffalo for those reasons, but who knows?
It can go either way for sure. Yeah,
it could go. It really can go either way. So, Curtis has no power, Beth. He like a wildfire or something, and it like the power lines went down or whatever. So, shout out to Curtis. I know he can't hear us because he has no power, but I hope everything works out for you, bud. And I'm sure he'll be back next week. So we've been on here a long time, guys. We appreciate you guys rocking with us. Everybody that was in here for 2 hours, man. And yeah, look, let's see here. They love to say I talk a lot. All you got to do is get Tommy talking, which is actually what's impossible. This show can last until midnight. You know what's funny though? I'll go to get off though sometimes, Anthony, and they'll call us lazy. We've been on like an hour and 40 minutes. Like, oh, you can't go on for another. You guys are lazy. Can't stay on another hour. And we're on here long. It's like, oh, Tommy talks forever.
Can never win, man.
Can never win. But I love my subscribers, man. They're all funny, man. They're all good people. So, guys, thanks for rocking with us. I will be on tomorrow pregame 1 hour before the game, so 12 o'clock tomorrow pregame, and then me and Mikey will be postgame right after the game. So you guys don't want to miss us on there. And then Monday night we will be on at 9 p.m. Talking Buffalo Bills football. So until then, I appreciate Anthony, appreciate everybody who is here rocking with us today. Zach, I appreciate you, man. I hope good luck with all your applications to college too, man. All right, we're out of here, man. Bills Mafia rule. Go Bills. We're out. Peace.
ATS, Jets.
Bills.